Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for supporting me. We have just hit 100 subscribers and this is a big milestone for me. This wouldn't have been possible without your support, so thank you again. Now in today's video, we are going to learn about the stock transfer process in SAP MM. We recently ran a poll and this was the most requested topic, so we are excited to bring it to you today. Now this video will cover all the key scenarios and methods of performing the stock transfers all in one place. We'll discuss about the STO process through all methods, that is through inventory management route, purchasing route and sales and distribution or logistic execution route. We'll start with the business process, walk through a hands-on demo and then look at the configuration behind each method. So this is going to be a detailed and informative session, so make sure to watch till the end. Now I'll be covering all the methods in two parts. So in this first part, we'll be covering the STO through inventory management and the purchasing route, that is the stock transport order route. In the next part, I'll be covering the STO process through the SD integration route. So in both these parts, I'll be covering all the possible STO processes in SAP MM. And I hope that this will cover the whole process for you. So let's start. So let's see what is a stock transfer process. So whenever any plant has a requirement for any material, it has an option to go through the procure to pay process. We have already discussed this process in detail. If you haven't seen the video on this process, that is the procure to pay process, then I have kept the link in the description. You can check there. Now this procure to pay process is an elaborate process. It requires a lot of activities by various people and it has a lead time. That is, it will take some time for you to procure the material and get it at your warehouse. So rather than going through this particular process, what you can do is you can check that whether this material inventory is lying at any other plant or not. In SAP, you can check the stock for any plant through T code MMBE or MB52. And let's say that you find that the material is available at a particular plant. Now what you can do is you can contact that plant, you can contact the warehouse manager and ask him to spare the material for you. That is, if that plant does not require that material, then the plant can spare that inventory for you. Okay, so you can request that material inventory from the other plant. And if the other plant agrees to spare the material, then this material will be transferred from one plant to another through the stock transfer process. So this is a very important process in SAP MM. Now there are various methods through which you can do this stock transfer process. So basically you have three methods. One is through inventory management route, then you have through purchasing route, and then you have through logistic execution route, that is MM and SD integration. So in the inventory management route, what you do is you simply post movement of material in SAP and the stock gets transferred. That is, you have specific movement types through which you will transfer the stock from one plant to another. Now, if you want to do in one step, then you have movement type 301. If you want to do in two steps, then you have movement type 303 and 305. We'll be discussing this step in detail. Then you have purchasing route, in which the requesting plant creates a purchase order that we call as a stock transport order. Against that purchase order or stock transport order, the sending plant will post the inventory through movement type 351. And then the requesting plant will create the GR in the system and receive the material. So this will be a two-step process always. And here you will have the facility to maintain the stock in transit, to check the stock in transit in SAP. So this method is useful where documentation of the STO process is required. That is, you want to see in SAP what request was placed by the requesting plant in a purchase order form. You will have a purchase order in place where you will see the supplying plant, the receiving plant, the material code, quantity, everything you will be able to see. Then you will be able to track that when the material was dispatched by the sending plant and when the GR was created. Another advantage of this method is that if you have a transporter involved in this whole stock transport process, then you can process the bills of that transporter through this particular purchase order only. Then the third process is the most elaborate process of a stock transfer, where we use the inventory management, the purchasing and the SD route also, that is the logistic execution route. Here both the plants will be doing their own elaborate activities. The requesting plant will create the purchase order and will do the goods receipt. The sending plant will do all the SD related activities here. In the purchasing route, the sending plant only posts a movement type 351. But here in the SD integration route, the sending plant will post all the documents which are required as per SD module. Now here we have separate methods for intra and intercompany stock transfer. Now, what is a intra-company stock transfer? Intra-company stock transfer means you are doing the stock transfer between two plants which belong to the same company code. Okay, you have one company code under which you have two plants, and the stock transfer is happening between these two plants. The intercompany code stock transfer is where you have two plants which belong to two separate company codes. So let's see in SAP how we do all these three processes. I'll show the demo in SAP and then I'll show the configuration behind each of these processes. So let's start. So first we'll see the stock transfer process through inventory management route. So here we'll be doing the stock transfer process through T-Code MyGo. But before that, let's verify the stock available in the sending plant and the receiving plant. So we'll go to MMBE and we have material code 144 and we have the sending plant Z286. We'll execute this. So you can see in our plant we have 100 quantity of bearings available. Now let's verify the stock in the receiving plant. So we'll go to MMBE and here we'll enter the receiving plant MM02 and let's execute. So you can see here no stock is available in this plant. So what we are going to do is we are going to transfer some of the stock from the sending plant to this receiving plant. So in order to do this stock transfer through inventory management route, we have to post a movement type 301. And through this movement type, we'll be transferring the stock from the sending plant to the receiving plant. So we'll open a new screen. We'll go to T-Code MyGo. And here we have to select transfer posting against other. And here we have to enter movement type as 301. So this is very important. Then when we have to transfer from one plant to another, then we have to enter movement type as 301. And you can see here there are two blocks here. One is from and another one is destination. So here we are going to enter the details from the sending plant and here we are going to enter the details of the receiving plant. So we'll enter the material code, we'll enter the plant. Now this is the sending plant and we'll enter the storage location and here we have to enter the receiving plant and the storage location where we want to receive the material. And here we have to enter the quantity that we have to transfer from the sending plant to the receiving plant. So we'll enter 10 bearings here. We'll press enter and we'll post this document. So you can see the document has been posted. Now let's verify the stock at both the plants. So you can see here 100 quantity was available in the sending plant. Let's refresh this screen. So now you can see only 90 quantity is remaining. So 10 quantity you have transferred from this plant to the receiving plant. Let's verify the stock at the receiving plant also. So here you had nil stock in this plant. Now let's refresh this. And you can see 10 quantity has been updated. So you have transferred 10 quantity from the sending plant to the receiving plant through movement type 301. Now let's display this document. So we'll go to display and we'll press enter. Now if we go to document info and click on FI documents, you can see that accounting document has been created. Now if I double click this, now you can see two lines have been posted both against the inventory GL. So you have a credit entry against the inventory GL of the sending plant and you have a debit entry against the inventory GL of the receiving plant. So in this case, a single accounting document is generated in which you can see that the inventory has been issued from the sending plant and has been received at the receiving plant. And if you scroll right, you can see the transaction keys also. You can see here for both these lines, the transaction key is BSX. So you have inventory posting happening in this particular accounting document, and because these two plants belong to the same company code, so you have only one accounting document generated under this company code, which is the parent company code for both these plants. So this is a case of intra-company code stock transfer where the stock transfer is happening between two plants which belong to the same company code. Now as you have seen that the moment I post this 301 movement type, the stock is instantly transferred from the sending plant to the receiving plant. Now it may happen physically the material wouldn't have reached the warehouse of the receiving plant. It may happen that two plants are at a distance and when you dispatch the material from the sending plant, it takes some time to reach at the receiving location. But when you post this 301 document, the inventory gets instantly transferred. So it may happen that the material has not reached physically, but you have posted the document in SAP and the material is showing in inventory of the receiving plant. So to overcome this issue, we have a two-step process also in inventory management. In this case, we'll be posting two movement types. First, we'll post 303 and then we'll post 305. So by this process, you will be able to manage the in transit stock also. That is, first you will post a movement type that will put the stock in transit, and then you will post another movement type that will put the material under the storage location of the receiving plant. So let's see that. So for that, again, we'll go to MyGo. And this time we have to select remove from storage. This is very important, that when you have to post stock transfer with two step, then you have to select remove from storage, and here you have to select other, and here the movement type will be 303. Okay, and again in the similar way you will post this document. So we'll enter all the details. We'll enter 10 quantity here and we'll post this document. Now let us verify the stock position of both these plants. So you can see 10 quantity we had transferred earlier to this plant. Now let's refresh this. Now you can see under unrestricted use only 10 quantities remaining. This has not changed. But if you scroll right, you can see 10 quantity has appeared under this column, that is stock transfer plant. So this tells the system that 10 bearings are in transit, that is they have been dispatched but they have not yet been received at the warehouse of the receiving plant. And if we see the stock position of the sending plant, let's see here. So if you refresh this, you can see the stock has been removed. So the stock has been reduced from the sending plant, but at the receiving plant's end, you can see it is appearing under this column. That is, the system is telling you that it is not available for usage. It is not available under the unrestricted use. Okay. Now, how we can put it under unrestricted use? We'll have to post movement type 305. That is, when this material gets received in the storage location of the receiving plant, that is in the warehouse of the receiving plant, then we'll be posting this movement type, that is 305. So let's post that. But before that, let's display this document that we just posted. So if we go to document info and click on FI document, you can see that the accounting document has been generated at this stage itself. That is, when you have posted 303, system has posted the accounting document. It means that system has posted the value of the material in the receiving plant. The material has been received in the receiving plant on value basis, but not on quantity basis. So in this way, the transferred value will be shown in the receiving plant, but quantity will only be shown when you do the 305 movement type. So if I open this accounting document, it is similar to the 301 movement type accounting document. So system has transferred the value, but system is yet to transfer the quantity. Okay. So to transfer the quantity, what we have to do is we have to again go to MyGo. And this time we have to select place in storage. Okay, so earlier we selected remove from storage and posted 303. This time we have to select place in storage. This is very important. You have to remember that when you have to post 305, you have to select place in storage, and then you have to select material document, and here you have to enter the 303 material document, and let's press enter. So you can see system has copied the quantity, and we'll click on item OK and we'll post. Now system will ask you to enter the storage location, because now you are placing this material in the storage location of the receiving plant. So we'll go to where tab, and here we'll enter the storage location and then we'll post. Now this material document is posted, but will it lead to any FI document posting? Let's verify that. So if you go to document info, click on FI document, you can see that no FI documents have been posted. The reason is that this FI document got posted at 303 stage itself. And now you are only placing this quantity in the storage location. So earlier you transferred the material value, now you are placing the material quantity. So this is about the two-step process. So now since we have posted the 305 document, let's refresh the screen and see how the stock gets updated under unrestricted column. So we have 10 quantity lying under transit. Let's refresh the screen because we have already posted 305 document. and let's see what happens. So now you can see the stock has been updated under unrestricted use column. So once we have posted 305, the stock will get transferred from the in transit column to the unrestricted use, and now this material is ready for usage in this particular receiving plant. Now in both these cases we have seen posting for intra-company code transaction. But let's see what happens when we transfer material from one plant to another which belong to different company codes. How system posts the FI documents in that case. So here again we'll go to MyGo, and then we'll select transfer posting. Again we are going to post 301. This time we'll enter the material code, we'll enter the plant, the storage location, and here we are going to enter a plant which belongs to the separate company code or which belongs to a different company code. So we'll enter MM01 here and the storage location. We'll enter some quantity and then we'll post. Now you can see the document has been posted. The material has been transferred from the sending plant to the receiving plant. Let's verify the FI documents posted in this particular document. So we'll go to display, and then in document info we'll click on FI document. Now you see there are two accounting documents generated. Earlier we had seen that only one accounting document was generated which had two lines which belong to the inventory lines. That is a credit entry from the sending plant and a debit entry at the receiving plant end. Here, because you have two separate company codes, so for each company code, accounting document will get generated. And this time you will not have a debit and credit entry for inventory. Let's see what entries happen for both these accounting documents. So if I double click this, you can see that the credit entry is against the inventory GL, that is for the sending plant. The inventory is removed. But at the debit side, you have a clearing GL for intercompany transfers. Okay. This GL is configured by FI people. They will configure that if a intercompany code transaction happen, then what clearing GL will be called. And if you verify the transaction keys, then you have a BSX for inventory posting, and you have a credit entry because this is the sending plant, and you have BUV. This transaction key is for intercompany clearing or intercompany postings. Similarly, if we see the accounting document in another company code where you have received the material, you will have a debit entry for the inventory GL and a credit entry in the clearing GL, that is intercompany code clearing GL. Okay, so this is all about how you can do intercompany code stock transfer through movement type 301. Similar thing you can do in 303 and 305 also. The financial document will get posted at 303 movement type posting. So if you do intra-company code, then you will have one financial document getting posted. There you will have two inventory line entries, one credit entry for the sending plant and one debit entry for the receiving plant. The transaction keys will be BSX for both these lines. When you have an intercompany code where the plants belong to different company codes, you will have two accounting documents getting generated for each company code. And in those accounting document, you will have one inventory line and another company code clearing line. Okay, so this is very important. In interviews also you'll be asked this question, that what is the difference between intra-company code and intercompany code stock transfer in financial terms. So you can answer in this way, that for intra-company code you will have one financial document getting posted. For intercompany code you will have two financial document getting posted, and the company code clearing GL will also get involved, and the transaction key for such company code clearing will be BUV. Okay. Now we have discussed the stock transfer through inventory management route. Now let's discuss the stock transfer posting through purchasing route. Now let us discuss how we can do the stock transfer through purchasing route. Now in this process, we will be creating a purchasing document, and through that we'll be doing the stock transfer. In SAP, we'll call it stock transport order. So we'll go to T code ME21N. And to create a stock transport order, you have to select a specific document type. So we'll select document type UB. You can see here UB is for stock transport order. And you can see this field changes to supplying plant. Let me show you again. If we select NB here, you can see this field is supplier. If I select UB here, then this field changes to supplying plant. So system understands that you are going to create a stock transport order, and here the vendor is a supplying plant. Okay, so in place of vendor, we'll be entering the supplying plant, which is going to supply the material to the receiving plant. So let's enter the supplying plant here. we'll have to enter the purchase organization, purchase group, company code. It is similar to how you create the purchase order. Okay. Then we'll enter the material code, we'll enter the quantity, and here we'll enter the plant which is going to receive this material. For this plant, it is simply a purchase order being placed on another plant. Okay, so we'll enter the plant code here. We'll press enter. We'll enter the storage location also here only, and we'll save this purchase order. So now you can see a purchase order has been created. This purchase order is a special purchase order which behaves as a stock transport order because we have selected the appropriate document type. Now next what we have to do, we have to issue the material from the supplying plant against this purchase order. Okay, and how we can do that? We have to go to MeGo again. And here we have to select goods issue. And here we have to select purchase order. And you can see the movement type is 351. So this is very important that when you have to do stock transfer through the purchasing route, you have to select movement type as 351. And here we'll enter the stock transport order that we have just created now. So we'll enter that number here. We'll press enter. And you can see the quantity has come up here. We'll click on item OK. We'll enter the storage location from which we are issuing. And then we'll post. Now once we have posted this document, the stock has been kept in transit. The material has not yet reached the receiving plant. And how we can verify this stock in transit? So for that we have to go to a specific T code, that is MB5T. So let's go to that T code. So we'll open MB5T. And here we have to enter the receiving plant and the material, and we have to execute. So you can see here 10 bearings are lying in transit against this particular stock transport order. So MB5T is the T code to verify what all stocks are lying in transit against the stock transport orders. Here you will see what is the quantity and what is the stock transport order against which this quantity is lying. Now when we receive this material at the receiving plant, we have to do the goods receipt, and after that this stock in transit will get removed. So let's do the goods receipt. So we'll select goods receipt, and this time we'll enter the purchase order again and we'll press enter. So you can see the movement type is 101. We'll click on item OK and we'll post. So now you can see the 101 document has been posted and the material has been received at the receiving plant. Now let's verify the stock in transit again. So we'll go back and we'll execute again, and you can see there is no stock lying in transit. Now if we verify the stock at the receiving end, we'll go to MMBE and we'll execute. So you can see the quantity has been increased. So that 10 quantity has now been received in the unrestricted use, and you have a stock transfer process completed. Now if you want to verify every document posted, then you can go to the purchase order. Let's open that stock transport order. And you can go to the purchase order history, and you can see that first we posted a 351 document, that is a issue document from the sending plant, and then we posted a GR document, that is a 101 document at the receiving plant. Okay. Now at which stage the financial documents get posted? This is a very important information that you need to know, that here also the financial document will get posted at 351 stage only. That is, when we post the 351 document, there only the financial document will get posted, and the material will be transferred on value basis to the receiving plant at the time of 351 only. At time of 101, the quantity will only be placed in the storage location of the receiving plant. So if we open 351 here, and if you go to document info and click on FI documents, you can see the accounting document got created at 351 stage only when the material was in transit. Okay, if I double click this, it will be similar to the 301 or 303 document. Okay, because this is an intra-company code stock transfer, so you have one accounting document and two inventory line postings. Now one more thing I would like to discuss here is, suppose that your material is managed at moving average price. and you have stock lying at both these plants, that is the sending plant and the receiving plant. When you do a stock transfer, the transfer price is taken from the sending plant, okay, and this transfer price is added to the receiving plant. So let's say that you have different MAPs in both these plants and you do a stock transfer. You post 351 or 301 or 303. The stock is lying in transit, but still that value will get added to your receiving plant and it might change the MAP at the receiving plant's end. When you receive material physically, you will create the 101 document, but that will not lead to any financial entry. Let's verify that. So if you open this 101 document, this is the GR which we posted. If I open this and if I go to document info and FI document, you can see no financial document got posted while we did 101. Let's see the configuration behind the purchasing route. So we had seen that when we selected a specific document type, then only the system understood that this is a stock transport order. So let's see the configuration. So we'll go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG. We'll go to materials management, purchasing, purchase order, and here we'll see define document type for purchase order. Now you had seen that I had selected document type as UB. So you can see here the document type UB is here for stock transport order. Now if I scroll right, you can see this column, the control column is updated with an indicator T. If I take a drop down, you can see T is for transport. So this indicator actually tells the system that this particular document type is for a stock transport order. And whenever I select this document type, system automatically changes the field for supplier to the supplying plant. And when I issue the material against that purchase order, system understands that I am doing a stock transfer from one plant to another. Okay, so this is very important. If in your organization there are custom document types created for stock transfer, then you have to see that this particular indicator is there. And if you go to the allowed item categories here, you can see here that only item category U is allowed for this particular document type, and U is for stock transfer. So system understands that you are selecting the particular document type, you are trying to create a stock transport order, and system automatically changes the item category to U. If you want to verify that, let's open the purchase order again. And you can see here the item category was automatically selected as U and you have a supplying plant field here. All this has happened because of this particular document type, and we have just seen that what is the configuration behind this particular document type. So this was all about the process of stock transfer through inventory management route and through purchasing route. We have discussed these two methods in part 1 of this series. In the next video, that is the part 2 of this series, we'll discuss the logistic execution route, that is, we'll be creating a stock transport order, and through that transport order we'll be posting first the SD related entries from the supplying plant, and then at the receiving plant we'll do the goods receipt. And here we'll see what is the difference between intercompany stock transfer process and intra-company stock transfer process. So stay tuned for the next video. I hope that you've liked this video and I hope that you are liking my content. If you're liking my content, then please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks a lot.